Hey guys, DOG Shadow Zero here. In this video I would like to talk about something important for any deck maker, and that is what the most important staples are. Now, what's a staple, you may ask? A staple is a card that really fits in with any deck. You can just take it and put it pretty much virtually in any deck you want. Now, the ones I'm going to go over are the ones that I feel are the most important to have, and pretty much it's hard to build a deck without them, and really should be seen in almost any deck you have. Now, while I do say that, that does not mean you have to go out of your way to make sure that you have these cards in your deck. You can make a deck without these cards. In fact, my main deck hardly uses any of these. I mean, it's still a matter of preference, but these, in my opinion, are the most important staples that you could have in your deck. First one I'd like to go over, Dark Hole. Now, Dark Hole is a very, very powerful spell card. As you see by its effect, destroy all monsters on the field. Now then, that is very good. Doesn't matter, it really doesn't care what the monster is. It will destroy it unless it has some effect that prevents it from being destroyed. Any monster, even your own, so you shouldn't just use it willy-nilly. But this is a card that you want to run at least one of your deck, and it's also limited to one. And we just play it and have fun with it. Ain't not much else to be said, really. It's really useful if, like, your opponent's sending up a big OTK play, they're just one turn away from getting it going, and just Dark Hole, destroy all their monsters, wipe away all their plans. It is so good. You gotta run Dark Hole, or at least some variant of Dark Hole in pretty much every deck, in my opinion. Next up, we come to Mystical Space Typhoon. What is that doing there? Mystical Space Typhoon. This is a card I would run 2 to 3 of in a deck, at least, or at least side it in any deck. Quick play spell card, destroy one spell or trap card on the field. Basically, use it, you destroy a opponent's spell or trap card. It could be a field spell, continuous spell, or just a face down trap. So that way you do not have to worry about it. Just set it and destroy it when your opponent sets something or anything. This Space Typhoon is a great card to have and can really mess up our opponent's plans to really hurt you. Next card on the list is Book of Moon. Book of Moon basically is another quick play spell, also limited to one, so you can only use one of it in your deck. But you play it, you flip one monster on the field in the face down defense position. This card will save your life. Opponent's monster coming in for a big attack, activate Book of Moon, boom, flip face down, can't do anything. Opponent monster summons, can activate effect, flip it face down, can't activate effect anymore. It is such a good card to have. I mean, I would use it in pretty much almost every deck I'd have. Next up, we have Bottomless Trap Hole, our first trap of the many that I'm going to be using. Bottomless Trap Hole, also limited to one. Basically, what Bottomless Trap Hole does, activate only when your opponent summons a monster or monsters with 1500 or more attack. Destroy and remove from play the monster or monsters. Basically, your opponent summons a big beater, Bottomless Trap Hole. Destroys it and removes it from play. Basically, not only does it not hit the graveyard, but it's gone. It's such a great card, and another great thing about this card, it doesn't target, which is amazing to stop those plays that opponent's card can't be targeted. Guess what? This card does not target. This is such a good card. Limited to one, so run one in almost every deck you make. Next up, we have Compulsionary Evacuation Device. One of my all-time favorite traps. Some of my friends' all-time favorite trap. Basically, what Compulsionary Evacuation Device does, return one monster in the field to the owner's hand. You set it, opponent summons a big monster, you send it back to the hand. When you use it on a Synchro or an XYZ monster, sends it back to the extra deck. This card is so good and is a lifesaver, and is also unfortunately limited to one, so you can only use one of it in your deck. That's a common theme with these staples, isn't it? Moving on. Next we got Fiendish Chain. Fiendish Chain basically says, select one face-up effect monster your opponent controls. Its effects are negated and cannot attack or be attributed. Fiendish Chain is such a good card. Your opponent monster has effect, activate an effect, activate Fiendish Chain. Not only can they not use their effect anymore, but that monster can't attack. This is also a lifesaver. However, only issue with this card, it is useless against normal type monsters or monsters that don't have an effect, like say Gem Knight Pearl or Blue Eyes White Dragon. It is useless against them. So you do kind of want to be careful when using this card, but hey, you can run 3 of them in your deck, so I would suggest at least running 2. It is such a good card not to be ignored. Next up we got Mirror Force, probably my personal favorite trap. What Mirror Force does, activate only when the opponent's monster declares an attack, destroy all attack position monster your opponent controls. Basically, your opponent's monster attacks not only destroy that monster, but any attack position monster your opponent has. It's so good, it's ridiculous. It's also at 2, so you can run 2 of these in your deck. Surprisingly enough, it is just so good in my opinion. It is probably personally my favorite trap. Next up we have Solemn Warning. This one's actually a counter trap, which means the spell speed 3, which means it's pretty much faster than anything else. And when it goes off, it will always be first in the chain unless your opponent activates another spell speed 3. Basically, what this card does, pay 2,000 life points to negate the summon of a monster or the activation of a spell card, trap card, or effect monster's effect. That includes an effect that special summons a monsters and destroy that card. Solemn Warning is so good. While the life point cost may seem like a bit much, it is worth it. Activate it, your opponent's monster isn't summoned is negated. That means even if they have effect when they are normal summoned, they won't get that effect like they would Bottomless, Trap, Pull, or Compulse. It is so good and is limited to 1. Solemn Warning is such a great card, and I will use it in almost every deck. The only time I wouldn't use it is if you have enough problem with life points already. Then you don't use Solemn Warning, because the life point cost can affect you. Finally on the list, we have Torrential Tribute. Now what Torrential Tribute does, activate when a monster is summoned, destroy all monsters on the field. Now keep in mind that is any kind of summon, normal summon, special summon, flip summon, any summon, activate, destroy all monsters on the field. It's basically a trap dark hole. I mean, it's so good, your opponent is going for a big old combo, boom, wreck their combo, right there. This card is also limited to 1, so you can only run 1 of it in your deck, but it is so good. I personally love using this card in pretty much every one of my decks. Well, that should do it for all the staples, and also probably one of the best thing about each one of these staples, they are all super cheap to get. I actually didn't include some staples because they're too expensive, but all these staples are all super cheap to get at most. For like the lowest rarity, you're looking at $2 for them. You want to get to the higher rarities, you're looking at spending some money. But just for the low rarities, hey, some are even less than $1. So definitely pick these up. If anything, then for trade bait, because players are always looking for these. But pick them up, use them in your deck. Hang on to a few of them, because if you're going to make a new deck, you're going to want to have these at hand. And these are just cards that are so good you don't want to be without. Well, that should do it for me here. If you have any questions about any of these staples, just simply leave a comment or message me, and I'll get back to you on it. And if you have any requests for any videos, just let me know. And this is DOG Shadow Zero.